What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about this situation involving Kanye West losing some business contracts due to some comments that he made regarding the Jewish community, and also talk about Antonio Brown coming out to support Kanye West. So what I'm going to do is read through this article that TMZ Sports posted and give my thoughts and opinions as I go, and then after reading the article, give you more of my commentary. So here we go. Antonio Brown is standing firm in his support of Kanye West, releasing a lengthy statement explaining his decision to remain as president of Donna Sports, citing his dedication to freedom of speech, thought, and opinion. And the thing is, right here, a lot of people are saying, oh, Kanye West got freedom of speech. He can say what he want to say. And that's true. And he did. He did exercise his freedom of speech, and he said what he wanted to say. However, freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences. And I feel like this is very elementary. Like, this is something that people should just know by now in 2022. But for some reason, some folks, especially some black folks, let's just keep it real, feel like Kanye West was not able to exercise his freedom of speech because he's receiving consequences for exercising his freedom of speech. I know that sounds a bit convoluted, but basically, some black people are upset because they feel like, oh, Kanye West, his freedom of speech is being violated, or at least his right to freedom of speech is being violated. And it wasn't. Like, Kanye West has been out here for quite a while saying a lot of things that really he should have been canceled for by the black community way back when. But Kanye West has been out here for quite a while saying a lot of things, and it's his freedom of speech. He's been practicing or exercising his freedom of speech. The problem is he just happened to mention a particular community, and that community did not take kindly to Kanye West mentioning him and perhaps exercise their freedom of speech, or rather their freedom to respond to his freedom of speech. But to make a long story short, Kanye West and his right to freedom of speech has not been violated. All right, we're not going to be going to the Supreme Court about Kanye West and his freedom of speech being violated. Let's continue with this article, though. So the NFL receiver, shouldn't it be the former NFL receiver? I don't think, never mind. Who joined the Donna staff earlier this year addressed the massive controversy surrounding Kanye following several anti-Semitic statements saying, quote unquote, the world's reactionary and selective outrage at comments in the media made by my brother, Ye, whatever, have inflamed and sparked rampant conversation and reflection. So, I'm not sure if Antonio Brown wrote this statement all by himself, or either he may have had a co-writer, a ghostwriter, or just, someone just wrote it all together, like his whole PR team. But, Antonio Brown in this statement is sounding, very coherent and very sane and stable, which is interesting, because Antonio Brown, someone has a reputation of being somewhat of like a hothead, someone who kind of flies off the handle, who may come off as being slightly unstable, slightly mentally unstable. So, it's a bit interesting to see Antonio Brown in more of a mode like this, like a style like this, where he is seemingly coming off as not like, a hood booger, but rather like someone with some actual sense. If he could live his life, his regular day-to-day life like this, perhaps he could be cooking with oil. But I feel like this is just a situation where like a broke clock is right once a day. But let me continue with this. As companies like Adidas and Balenciaga cut ties with Kanye, Antonio Brown says the timing is not a coincidence. Quote unquote, the people and brands that have relentlessly profited from Black ideas and Black culture choose to distance themselves from at a very specific time. A time that demonstrated their prioritization of certain groups over others. Okay, so Antonio Brown, he's trying to say some things. He's saying some things up in here. So let's humor him. Let's entertain him. Let's unpack this for a moment, right? So he's saying that basically these brands, they profited from Black ideas, perhaps they have, and Black culture, perhaps they have, and they're choosing to distance themselves at a very specific time. And well, the thing is, though, it's not like this came out of nowhere, though. It's not like they're just like all of a sudden just woke up one day and said, hey, let's distance ourselves and cut ties with Kanye West for no reason in particular. They're distancing themselves and cutting ties with Kanye because they don't want to get caught up in the controversy. And probably it may have ended up happening at one point or another anyway, because Kanye West just seems to be very unhinged, very, I don't know, like unstable, like mentally unstable. And I feel like he was doing so much talking, I feel like at one point or another he was going to end up talking a bit too much anyway. And this just happened to be that moment. But if this was not that moment, it would have come up at another point. Antonio Brown also says to distance themselves at a very specific time, a time that demonstrated their prioritization of certain groups over others. So I'm thinking, I'm making some conjecture and some speculation here, but I'm thinking he's saying that they're prioritizing maybe Jewish people and their feelings over Black people and their feelings. Even though these dudes be out here saying F your feelings until it's their feelings, right? And the thing is, Black people's feelings perhaps could have been prioritized. But the thing is, Black people, for some reason or another, keep giving Kanye West pass after pass after pass after pass. And it does send a message to other groups of people saying, oh, well, Black people must be all right with Kanye West saying that, slavery was a choice. Oh, they must be okay with Kanye West saying white lives matter. Oh, they must be okay with Kanye West showing the Confederate flag. But other groups of people, I'm thinking they're referencing Jewish people in this case, they were not sending a signal like that. When their name was mentioned, they made sure to send a message that not only lets Kanye West know, but also other people know, hey, don't even think about it. Like they did something similar to Whoopi Goldberg. Y'all remember that? But, folks wasn't really hooping and hopping over, Whoopi Goldberg, getting caught up in the situation with Jewish people. And I'm not sure why. I mean, considering Kanye West versus Whoopi Goldberg, I'm thinking at best they would be on the same playing field as far as coonery. Like they would essentially be the same coon. I feel like Whoopi Goldberg might be like less far gone than Kanye West. But again, black people sent the message that, hey, what Kanye West is saying, you know, about the black community is cool. It's all right. It's no problem. Even though this same black community canceled Chrisette Michele for performing at Donald Trump's inauguration. See, then the black community sent the message saying, hey, we are not going to tolerate something like this, Chrisette Michele, and also sent the message to other people, at least other black women, saying, hey, if you own some coonery buffoonery type stuff, or at least if that's what we feel it is, you're going to get canceled. So the black community, it does know how to send a message. But the thing is, for some reason or another, when it comes to like quote unquote black male trash in the community, both black men and black women, hesitate to take out that trash. When it comes to black female trash in the black community, there's not that much hesitation, not nearly as much hesitation for some reason. It's like, okay, let's get rid of that. Let's get it on out of here. Nuh-uh. But when it's black male trash, then it's like, well, he got mental health issues. His mama passed away. His mama deceased. He been going through it ever since his mama died, y'all. We gotta give him some grace. Even though, like, those things are true, like, well, for one, if he's really, still affected, like, to this type of point where if he's really affected by his mom dying, not to say that that's not something to be affected by, but at this point, it's been over a decade. I think he should have come to terms with that by now. I hope I'm not coming off as being like insensitive, but at that point, I do think he should have come to terms with that. And I feel like he has. I feel like folks are just bringing that up as an excuse because they just want to somehow find a way to like excuse the behavior. And if by chance, if he really is still dealing with that, then, he should probably seek some sort of help for that. He has like a lot of resources available. What's Kanye West's excuse for not getting help? But let me get back to this article. So, Antonio Brown goes on to say, quote unquote, none of us in this world are free of judgment. Yet, we live in a time where scrutiny and pessimism have driven our dialogues on cultural issues toward diatribes. Who wrote this for Antonio Brown? Who sat down and ghost wrote this for Antonio Brown? Is this a statement from his PR folks? Where is this Antonio Brown at? I want to see this Antonio Brown show up for an interview. Maybe it has already happened. I'm sure some super fan gonna come in my comment section and be like, what you talking about? He always speaking like this in his interviews. He an intellectual brother. Stop hating on a brother. And, if that is true, just let me know. You don't got to be rude about it. And provide the receipts, like a link to a YouTube video where he's talking like this in an interview. He goes on to say sensationalism and groupthink have forced people to not speak their minds and act out in fear rather than love. For these reasons, I stand by my dedication to freedom of speech, thought, and opinion. Well, groupthink, yeah, I feel like there's some groupthink, but there's also some groupthink among black people that is in your favor. Antonio Brown, because you haven't been canceled either. Neither has Kanye. And I do think that groupthink plays a part in you guys not being canceled. So I don't think you should be really going hard on groupthink, and I don't really think he is. He's just probably threw that in to sound, intellectual. And then he's also saying, he stand by his dedication to freedom of speech, thought, and opinion. Well, who is saying that you can't have freedom of speech, thought, and opinion? Where has that actually been challenged? Well, I guess people are feeling like it's been challenged because, Kanye West has received some sort of a backlash and consequence for his freedom of speech. But he was able to say it, and he has been saying it for quite a while. But black folks, particularly black men, let me be real, specifically black men, one day y'all gonna learn. One day you gonna learn that just because you can act a wild fool in the black community and get away with it, it does not mean that other groups in other communities are going to let you do the same thing in their communities just because you're black, male, and you got some money and some fame behind you. Although, a quick sidebar, do you guys remember that story that came out about Antonio Brown, probably maybe like a few weeks ago, if not maybe like a month ago? It came out a minute ago, though, about him being in Dubai, and he was like at a pool, and he was being like a wild, hypersexual mandingo on the loose. Just for that alone, I feel like Antonio Brown probably shouldn't be coming out and even saying anything in defense of Kanye West, because I feel like Antonio Brown doesn't really have the best reputation. And I feel like a cosign from Antonio Brown might not be the best look for Kanye West. But Antonio Brown, he's saying he's going to stay on cold. He's going to support his brother Kanye West. But in Dubai, they did kick him out of that hotel because, he was just acting like, a wild, hypersexual mandingo on the loose. And it was just too much for them to handle. It's just too much. And also, I feel like Antonio Brown, I feel like he's like low-key like the male version of Azalea Banks. Anyone who tries to help him, I think he ends up like stabbing them in the back or betraying them in some way. Like the whole situation with Tom Brady, and he like photoshopping a picture of his face on Tom Brady's face while he's hugging his wife Gisele Bundchen, or his soon-to-be ex-wife, maybe. I'm not sure if they're getting a divorce or not. Whatever. They still married. So, his wife. Then, he was also saying some things about Floyd Mayweather, too. I'm not sure about the specifics, but if you Google it, I'm sure it'll come up. But let's continue with this article. So, Antonio Brown says he decided to speak out because he's against discrimination of any kind, but makes it clear he's standing by Kanye's side. Okay, he said he's against discrimination of any kind. All right. I feel like we probably should make a note of that for when something else comes up and see how Antonio Brown reacts. And where I'm getting at is basically, I would like to see Antonio Brown advocate for some black women. Whether they're famous black women or just, regular black women on Main Street, quote unquote, regular black women. And, to the black women out there who are jumping up to defend, the Kanye West and the Antonio Browns, it's like, well, Antonio Brown and Kanye West, they don't have black spouses or baby mamas. Their children are biracial. And they've also sent the message that they don't really want to deal with you like that, black women. So just because you jump up and advocate and hoop and holler for them, it doesn't mean that they're going to come back home to the black woman. They're going to accept your support and keep it pushing. They maybe give you a shout out, throw you a bone, but honestly, I don't even think they're going to throw a bone to black women. Not Antonio Brown and Kanye West. I think they're just going to keep it pushing. I don't even think they're going to even acknowledge the black women that jump up to advocate for them. And I know some black woman gonna come through and be all like, oh, it don't matter if they got black baby mamas, it don't matter if they got white baby mamas, white wives, biracial children. You know, their children black because they daddy black too, so they got black children. You know, this could be my son. And the thing is, if this could be your son, well, your son would be being a wild hypersexual mandingo in a pool in Dubai at a hotel. Your son would be saying white lives matter and wearing a shirt that says white lives matter. Your son would be saying, oh, slavery was a choice. Your son would be rocking the Confederate flag. Your son would be saying, oh, I have a fashion show. Only biracial mixed race models. Only. That's it. So if your son was doing all that, I really don't think you should be jumping up to advocate for him. I think you would be sending the wrong message. I think you would be sending the message that, oh, what you do, you know, those things that you're doing, they're okay. And those things that they're doing are not okay. And just in general, when it comes to black women who are jumping up and advocating for black men who have not really shown any sort of, you know, loyalty or even perhaps even any common decency to black women, jumping up to advocate for them, I think that it sends the wrong message. It sends the message that black women just accept any and everything, particularly from black men. And because of that, it doesn't really provide an incentive for black men to improve as a collective, since either way it goes, they're going to get black women to support them. But let me continue with this article. Quote unquote, I remain true to the mission of Donna and our amazing staff and community, he says, adding he believes Kanye West's comments were taken out of proportion by the media. Out of proportion, I've usually heard the term being out of context, not out of proportion. Is that like a term? If that is, like, please let me know in the comment section. But this is my first time hearing the term or the phrase out of proportion being used in the sense of meaning out of context. Perhaps Antonio Brown really is an intellectual genius and I'm just not on this level. Let's continue with this article. I remain committed to bringing new ideas, experiences, and designs to our world. I remain in support of humanity, that is ye. So he remains in the support of the humanity that is ye, as in Kanye West. The statement comes on the heels of sports superstars Aaron Donald and Jaylen Brown voicing their issues with Kanye's comments, which led them to leave Donna Sports. Antonio Brown found himself drowning in controversy as well recently, and this certainly won't help. And that's the end of the article that TMZ Sports posted. So there you have it. So let me get into a bit more of my commentary on this. So do you guys think that Kanye West is the victim? Because that's the narrative that I really think, like, the black community in particular is trying to push. Like, Kanye West is a victim, like $1 billion victim. Are people really violating his freedom of speech? I don't think so. I really don't think that Kanye West is a victim per se. I mean, he did receive some consequences. If receiving consequences means that you're a victim, then I guess Kanye West is a victim. But I really don't view Kanye West as being a victim, right? And also, you see how quickly that group reacted. You see how quickly they put the kibosh on that, right? They weren't dilly-dallying. They weren't trying to decipher what he said and make sense of it, analyze and critique it, make excuses for it. No, it was like, okay, let's exercise the power that we have and send a message. And at the end of the day, I can't blame them for wanting to do that and for doing that. That's what they're supposed to do. And at this point, instead of black people complaining about it, I really think that black people need to be taking some notes on how other groups of people move and see if you can kind of move like that, at least at certain times. And people going hard in the paint for Kanye West as if he is like some patron saint in the black community. Like he has just, done, just so much, like above and beyond for the black community. What exactly are we getting from Kanye West in terms of advocating for him? Like, what do we really get out of this? And also, I heard, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm sure you will. But I heard that Kanye West wanted out of, like, the contracts that he was in. Right? That's what I heard. If I'm mistaken, again, let me know. But I heard that he wanted out of these contracts, so maybe this was a way of him getting out of these contracts. I mean, I'll say that Kanye West is a genius. He's an intellectual. He the smart brother. Well, maybe this was a part of his master plan. I mean, I'm not sure how that's affecting his bank account, but I mean, he is out of those contracts, though. And I think I may have mentioned this earlier, but just in case if I didn't, I do want to speak on at least like one more thing before I bring this video to a close, and that's black people and black people maybe feeling some type of a way because the Jewish community, or at least some Jewish elite people, reacted the way that they did because of some comments that Kanye West made referencing Jewish people. And black people feeling some type of way about that because, oh, well, you didn't cancel Kanye West when he said slavery was a choice. And that's true, but also the black community didn't cancel Kanye West when he said that slavery was a choice. That was black people's job to cancel Kanye West over those comments. That was black people's job to go to his business partners and say, hey, you need to cut ties with him because he's saying some really outlandish, offensive stuff. Black people, other groups of people are not going to do what you're supposed to do for yourself. And also, even when other groups of people do try to step in and intervene, you got black folks wanting to scratch and holler and scream and act a fool to defend the effery. And it's usually the effery of a black man who they're doing this to. It's usually not black women that they want to jump up and give all this context to and defend. Like, for example, R. Kelly. R. Kelly, he was able to do what he did for years. And it was because black people just kept giving him a pass and a pass and a pass and another pass and a pass here and a pass there and just kept giving passes. Perhaps because, oh, he makes some good music. You can't do that to R. Kelly. R. Kelly is the best music maker out here. Or either, oh, well, those black women, girls, but those black women, they knew what was up. You know, they were willing participants. And by the way, a lot of those black girls at the time, they did have their black fathers in their lives. Their black fathers were not taken out of the home by government cheese and food stamps. But when Lifetime made that documentary, right, Surviving R. Kelly, that got the ball rolling on getting justice for those black girls. Well, at the time, black girls, probably now black women, for getting justice for R. Kelly's victims. And I feel like the only time that people really, at least black men, really kind of wanted to distance themselves from R. Kelly when it was found out, or at least alleged, that one of his victims was a black male. And they were distancing themselves from R. Kelly because, oh, R. Kelly is a homosexual? Oh, no. Can't be associated with that. Versus, oh, R. Kelly is a sexual predator who seemingly engages in heterosexual activities with underage women. Oh, well, that's different. Those women, those girls, they knew what was up. But I say all this to say that when other groups try to help black people, sometimes there's pushback. And I can understand other groups hesitating to help black people because of that pushback. Whereas, I'm not sure if these people really want to be helped. And I can understand where some black people may be coming from and, being perhaps suspicious of help from other groups. I can understand where black people are coming from when it comes to that. But also, I feel like it's just, oh, let's continue to support black male degeneracy. Because, he a victim of the system. Oh, he got a black single mama raised him. You know how black single mamas do. The black man is a 400-year victim, man. So many excuses. So many excuses. And I really feel like black people, especially black men, but also black women too, I feel like when black women are wilding out and having issues, being, loud, ratchet, hood boogers, hood rats, just being a low vibrational version of a black woman, right? I feel like there's just no context put to that, and I feel like people just, both black men and black women, especially black men though, really just seem to think that black women exist outside of the system of white supremacy, as if black women have not been affected by the system. Oh, for example, oh, black women wearing weave. I wonder where they got that idea that perhaps their natural hair that grows out of their hair is not the hair texture that they should wear on their head. I wonder where that came from. Oh, this black woman is angry. She's loud. She's ratchet. I wonder where that came from too. For some reason, the community, I don't know, it seems to not really view black women as being victims. If anything, I think the community at times view black women as being like victimizers. Because anytime like a black woman end up in sort of a situation like, say, Megan Thee Stallion, in that situation she ended up with Tory Lanez. Oh, it was like, oh, what did she do? Right? when Megan got pow in her foot, allegedly by Tory Lanez. You know, it was like, oh, what did she do? And then folks just came up with so many different scenarios and storylines and plots and just downright lies about what Megan Thee Stallion did to elicit that sort of reaction from Tory Lanez. Like, oh, she cussed him out. Oh, she was hitting on him. Oh, she tricked him because she really got a G. Just saying any and everything. Because as I mentioned in my previous video, there is a hierarchy when it comes to who is prioritized in the black community. Like whose plight is prioritized in the black community. And as I mentioned, the hierarchy goes as this: black man, black boy, black woman, black girl. That is the hierarchy when it comes to whose plight is prioritized in the black community. But I'm going to bring this video to a close. I didn't mean to go on for this long, but I just had some things to say and some things to really speak on that I really felt compelled to speak on. But thank you very much for watching this video. Please let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.